Hi everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here. We are going to dive right into your reading and we are going to see what messages Spirit has for you, Pisces. What message does Spirit have for you right now? What does Pisces need to know? Please, Spirit, show us the messages that Pisces needs to know right now. Okay, you have one card coming out. Angel of Pleasure. Take pleasure in the things you do. You also have Goddess of the Unknown. A new chapter of your life is around the corner. Remove fear and embrace the unknown. Pisces, this has been coming up for a while. You can really feel the energy right now where it does really feel like things are about to get good, or things are good, or things are getting good. I'm getting a few things with this Angel of Pleasure energy. There is a little bit of this, like, it's just sort of like there are good things and bad things that are going to happen to us today. And there's, that's just how it is. And, when what we focus on is the things that bring us pleasure, or, when we say, I'm going to take a break, or I'm going to sit down for 5 minutes, or I'm, going to go out to lunch, or I'm going to grab a bite to eat or something. It's giving me just this energy of really fully being present for those moments, and just sort of pulling ourselves away from what has been occupying our mind. And just really just being like, oh, I'm so grateful to sit down. I'm so grateful to have this tea. I'm so grateful for this moment, whatever it is. Because, it's showing me like, mental energy stacks on top of each other. Okay. And so when you're putting an emphasis on the things that are pleasurable, then what comes beyond that, it's like, it's showing me, even if you have a bad moment, you're like, it doesn't overshadow, all the other things. It doesn't become sort of insurmountable or so heavy or so intense, because where your mind is really focused is on what is bringing you joy. I don't know. I feel like that is a very convoluted, confounding way of just sort of saying what we all kind of know is beneficial to us, which is, focus on abundance, you get more abundance. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. But this is really, really, really strongly giving me like, even like getting the energy of getting off your feet, or the energy of sitting down, or the energy of like making tea. It's not, just drinking through it and being like, oh man, time's up, I gotta go. But it's like sipping in every second, and it's like bringing your mindful awareness to all of your senses and just sort of checking in with your body. Where are you hurt? Is there anything you could do to help yourself? Just really dialing in, even if it's just momentary, and even if it's just here or there. You have this energy of something new is coming. You've had this energy for quite a while. And it really is giving me, when the unknown stretches out before us, we can face it with one of two ways: with a lot of fear, like, oh gosh, I don't know what it's going to hold for me. Or if I'll suffer, or if I can withstand it. Or it holds the space of, wow, there are limitless opportunities. Like, the potential of what's in front of me is just huge. And no matter how you crack it, when you're standing there in front of the unknown, both are relevant, or something is what I kind of want to say. And And yet, yeah, so it's showing me, like we think like, oh, you get to choose. How do you want to look at it? But it isn't always that simple, and especially like if we're being really real or really honest with ourselves. And I think like what this is saying is that the honesty at this point is more important. If you're afraid, it's okay to say I'm afraid. If you're looking at it and there's a lot of fear there, it's okay to say, I have fear there. It's even showing me like writing down what you're afraid of, or even like it's giving me like a checklist or a list of like, okay, I'm afraid of this. And then it's like really looking at it. And what always happens with fear when you look at it is it shrinks. So it's kind of, maybe it's these moments of honesty about how you're feeling, about how you're doing. You're going through some kind of transition here, Pisces. Things are really shifting and changing. But it's like, if your goal is just to get to a place where you feel excited by the unknown, then don't deny that you also have fear when it comes to it. Like, look at it. You don't have to let it unpack and stay. You don't have to let it overwhelm you or swallow you up. In fact, when you do look at it, it shrinks. It goes away. Yeah, it's like you've survived all of your worst days. You've already gotten here. You've already done so much. And so this is just sort of this, the new beginning. It's giving me that feeling of sometimes, when you open your sketchbook or you get a canvas out, even if you have a really strong idea and you already have your colors picked and you've already drawn it 100 times, and so you can paint it and all that, even with all of that, sometimes that blank canvas staring back at you is like the scariest thing you've ever seen. You're just like, I can't, I don't know how, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And what if it's bad, But then when you think like, well, what if it is bad? Well, if it is, you just paint over it. And that layer just adds to its character, adds to its experience. And life is like kind of the same way. It's, but this, I don't feel like this is bad. I think this is good. And I think that really these two cards are bringing out this like, paying attention to our thoughts, paying attention to kind of our attitude or our general disposition or demeanor about what it is we're looking at here. This is a very interesting grouping of cards, I will say. I feel like love is in the air, Pisces, I really do. I like, there were, I feel guided much more toward love cards right now for you guys, and just, there's just, oh my gosh, you guys, I am not even kidding you. It says face your fears. Sometimes it just rattles me to my core when that happens. Oh my gosh. And the Pisces card, face your fears. And then look, I just was talking about love is all around you. Love is in the air. And it says, yes, this is your soulmate or your twin flame. I just feel like, okay, there's your reading for today, Pisces. All I can do is mess that up from there. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, there's everything you need to know right now. Wow, your season is coming up here, what, in the next couple of days, huh? I mean, it's not even a week away, I don't think. I don't even know what day it is. But, this is your time, Pisces. Whatever you're afraid of, look at it. Let it shrink. Don't let those fears play into your decisions. Look at them. Every time they come up, look at them. Yes, this is your soulmate or your twin flame. Lord. Pisces. I mean, that message is just point blank, period. You do not need a card reader to read that. Okay, I was guided to get some message cards. You know, one of these, all of these, some of these, none of these may be applicable to you. You have to listen to your own intuition and allow yourself to be guided. You have, am I good enough for you? I'm sorry I couldn't follow through with my promises. I keep comparing others to you. I will make things right between us one day, and I'm afraid to take that next step right now. All right, let's dive into the tarot. I think it was yesterday. Could have been today, I'm not sure. But I was meditating and I was getting a sense of someone who was seriously, like their insecurity was keeping them from being with you. And it was, you know, it was so sad. And the thing is that, like, there's not a lot you can do. It's just sad. It's just one of those sad things. Let's see. Tarot, what can you show us for Pisces, please? What can you... Actually, in fact... Okay, we're going to look at this card. We have the King of Cups. You guys got the King of Cups yesterday. I am going to put this card back in the deck because I've just decided that I'm going to do a spread because let's find out what's going on here. But the King of Cups wanted to come out. So we'll see. It may come out again. I do feel a bit of a, like, Scorpio energy with that particular King of Cups. All right. What are they thinking? Can you please show me what are they thinking? What are they thinking? Okay, what are they feeling? Okay, what actions? Okay. That's what they're thinking. Here are their actions. And wow, here are their feelings. Okay. And what is Pisces thinking? What is Pisces feeling? What is Pisces feeling? Okay. What are actions Pisces going to take? What actions might Pisces take? Okay. Pisces, here is what you are thinking. Here is what you are feeling. And here is what actions you are taking. Wow. Intense. A lot of scorpionic energy. Heavy water sign energy here. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Okay, let's see. So, what is the current state of this relationship? What is the best possible outcome? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Some of you may have someone around you and you're trying to figure out what exactly is going on with this person. Some of you, this can be someone from your past. Some of you, you know, just take it as it resonates and, you know your own situation the best. All right. In this person's mind, you have the Emperor. And the Emperor in the mind space, like, it gives me a lot of different vibes. Sometimes it gives me someone who does not want to be out of control of their mind. And so they sort of keep their life out in front of them. They kind of, you know, sometimes they can be a bit of a perfectionist, but there's someone who they at least want to be able to tell themselves that they have it all together, or that they have it under control, or that, you know, they've kind of got themselves in a position where, you know, they will always have kind of say or sway over what direction their life goes. You know, they may not be the most sensitive or feeling kind of focused or driven person, but they are someone who projects strength and stability and a certain self-assurity, like a certain... Now, they project this. It doesn't necessarily always have to be true. This is in the mind space, so this isn't necessarily material. But in their own mind, it's like this is the way they like to keep it, you know, neat and tidy. For some of you, this person could have been in the military or like in some kind of position of power. They also may have started their own business. There's just this sense of like orderly, organized, neat, you know, someone who makes decisions with a lot of confidence, a lot of like self-assuredness. But then you have the moon in the heart space. And this kind of denotes someone that actually is a very deep feeler, but sort of like keeps it really under wraps. So with the Emperor in the mind space and the moon in the heart space, this can be someone who actually does have a lot of feelings, but sort of may act like they don't. Or, you know, it's giving me like how we have like a sun, moon, and a rising sign. And like, you know, your rising sign is how people view you, but it could be pretty far from the truth. You know, like my daughter is a Pisces sun and a Virgo rising. You know, maybe a lot of people wouldn't think she's a Pisces. I mean, to me, she is a Pisces, you know. She has a stellium in Pisces. But she also does have this very like, you know, no nonsense kind of intimidating, you know, vibe about her too. So I can see where, like, if you didn't know her well, you might really totally not understand her. And so with the moon and the Emperor here, there's just this vibe of like a major difference, right, between, you know, what I'm projecting, what I'm thinking, how I like to think about my life, and what is actually real and what's happening in my heart. And so while this person feels things very deeply, they don't make decisions based on their heart. They don't with the moon, it's like they also don't reveal it. They also don't let it be seen. They also don't let it be known. And these are both major arcana. So, you know, there's like an equal sort of strength in a way in both of them. And when I say strength, I don't mean like power. I mean like the vibe is as strong for both areas. I don't even know if that makes any more sense than what I said before, but yeah. They definitely play it very close to the chest, because they don't want, they feel like feelings make them vulnerable possibly to suffering. And they don't want people to have that much information about them to be able to kind of use it against them. You have the Page of Swords here. This is very like secret admirer energy. And with the Page in the actions energy, you know, this could really be this energy that I was picking up on, and I feel like the message cards really vibe with it, but it is someone who is, you know, maybe a lot of times the Emperor is a projection, right? What do we project? We project things in order to cover up our own experience, our own reality, our own insecurity. And so if I'm insecure that, and you know, maybe this person does feel that their feelings make them weak. I keep getting that type of energy. That, you know, they with the Page of Swords, it just makes sense that, like, what's really happening here is someone doesn't really have the bravery or the courage that maybe they think they have, or maybe they tell themselves that they have. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Seven of Swords here, because there's just there's this bit of, but it also makes sense because, you know, if you are like an Emperor in your mind space, you want to be awfully sure about things. You know, that's this perfectionist energy that I was picking up on to begin with. It's kind of like, I don't want to go out there and be like, you know, taking a risk with my feelings and then end up with egg on my face. Like, I want to know that the person that I am approaching, or that I am taking a chance on, or that I'm, you know, whatever, is going to really be able to show up to meet me where I'm at. And there's really no such thing as a sure thing, but that, you know, there's a lot of wisdom in that also. You know, that's also a pretty solid decision. If you let something take place over the course of time, you really do get a much truer picture. When you allow yourself to get swept up into the emotion of it, sometimes it does work out, absolutely. But a lot of times it ends up like, oh, we didn't really know each other. And like, if I had just known this, or if I had just known that, then, you know, I wouldn't have gone down this path, and, you know, all this stuff. So this person they hold back. It says, I'm afraid to take the next step right now, but like, it's giving me a little bit of like, I'm kind of, I'm not rushing. I'm watching and waiting. I want to make sure that you are who you appear to be, or who I think you are. And I want to, you know, cycle through. If you're someone that has really deep feelings, and you can get swept up in feelings, and you feel a deep sense of connection to someone, then sometimes you want to sort of wait and see if those feelings, you know, stay in that to that degree, or do they wane? You know, do they disappear? You know, is that real, or is that just an excitement about feeling like you connect with someone, and then, you know, where you could find out that you really didn't connect as much as you thought you did. So there's just this energy of caution. And it's not like a skepticism. It's not like a blocked energy. It's just like a cautious energy. Like, you know, even I feel even like the recognition of like, you know, you can't ever really know until you just get in there and you do it. And I feel like this person is, you know, thinking about that, considering doing it, right? But they are also, you know, I feel like they're waiting for things to sort of settle. Like, they're waiting for all these feelings that they're having, or all these thoughts that they're having. You know, they're waiting to sort of feel like they're in control. You know, when somebody says something to you that really like hurts your feelings or something, and you need to respond, but you know you need to take a couple breaths before you do, so that you don't cry, or you don't let someone see that they have affected you. It's sort of giving me that same kind of energy of like just taking a couple breaths, like letting this settle. It's even giving me like a shakiness in the voice. Like, it's almost like this person knows that they have tells, and they want to be in control of themselves and of their tells. it wouldn't even surprise me if this person maybe doesn't drink. I don't know. I'm just getting that feeling for some people or someone. There's a real like I don't like the feeling of not, really being in full faculty. I don't see it as a bad thing. I don't feel it as a bad thing. I just feel it as a security and a stability thing. Okay. Then Pisces, for you, you have the Six of Pentacles in your head space, you have the Page of Cups in your heart space, and you have the Death card in your actions. So you're definitely closing out a cycle here, and there has been a bit of a transformative process, but I do feel like that transformative process, has reached a certain level or degree where the cycle or the time for that is ending. It doesn't mean that you're not going to continue to transform. You will, of course, we're changing all of the time, but like there's a sense that there was a period of kind of a massive transformation. And that is what feels like it's kind of ending. Or this can even be where this is like a personal transformation. And it may be that like it's carrying on, but maybe in a less personal way, or in a way in which, it's more apparent externally. So in the headspace with the Six of Cups, there is like this feeling of innocence, of nostalgia, of, equality. It is a little bit, I kind of want to say fairy tale-ish, or, there is a daydreaminess about it. There's even a bit of a feeling that you are aligning with someone or something here with the Six of Cups. Like, you may be trying to manifest someone. You may be, even thinking about someone from your past. You may be, you could even be like taking care of your own inner child to, in order to align with what you are wanting to align with. It's a really kind of a sweet energy, but then at times I feel it sort of being interrupted by, none of us really has an idyllic childhood, right? We've all had somebody say something mean to us, or we've been treated unkindly at some point or another. You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting out of those years unscathed in any way, right? And so there's just this energy of where, things that even from your past where you felt like maybe you had gotten over them, or you'd already processed them, or you'd already addressed them, they may be kind of coming up for review. It feels like this is part of, an alignment. It may be that these are things that if you let go of them now, in a non-emotional moment, in a moment where there aren't a lot of stakes on the line, or doesn't have bigger implications other than just the letting go of it, it will help you align energetically with whatever it is you're manifesting, or whatever it is you're sort of calling into your life. So there is a bit of a historical look back, or process here. Some of you may even find that you are returning to interests of your younger self, or maybe it's not in a direct way, but it's kind of like tapping back into energy that feels familiar from your own childhood. Especially with the Page of Cups in your heart, there is a real return to authenticity and to truth within you, where you really do understand yourself, you understand your feelings, you understand even how people may have manipulated them in the past, or how you have dismissed them in the past. And there's a real nurturing, loving energy here, where just of a lot of acceptance, and just kind of like this is me, and I'm, there's a, like, kind of an energy of like, gosh darn it, I like me. You know what I mean? Kind of energy. I don't know how to say it. But it's sort of like getting, being able to cut through a lot of the bullshit and a lot of the noise in the head. And when we get right down to it in the heart, it's like, man, I might not really want to be anybody else, or, and, I don't know, there's just this feeling of really nurturing and embracing and, being really raw and vulnerable and honest with ourselves about ourselves, and even how we feel about ourselves. And I think that is, in, like, part of this energy of the death card, of this like major transformation. Some of you, even with like the Six of Cups, you may have had a relationship where you were really naive or really innocent. Maybe you didn't even know what a narcissist was, and you found yourself in a relationship with a narcissist. You know what I mean? And, you've had to really kind of go through, all of the things that this person convinced you that you were and you weren't. And you've had to kind of let go or shed all of that and sort of come to the place where it's like, I know who I am. Nobody's going to tell me who I am. And I don't have to prove myself to anyone. I like me. I know what my intentions have always been. I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. I know, nobody knows me the way I know me. And no one's going to convince me that I am or I am not something. I know what I am. I know what I stand for. So this is bringing about kind of a major transformation, but it's also like bringing about a lot of beauty, or a lot of, how do I want to say it? Like a high vibrational energy that you're giving off to the world. So we have, what is this connection now, being answered by the Queen of Wands. And there's desire here. There's desire, but there's not movement. With the Queen, it's sort of an energy of like, it exists, I acknowledge it, but I'm not chasing it. I'm not making it happen. I'm not taking action. So I ask, what is the best possible outcome? And we get judgment. And judgment is really saying, this is a connection that can transcend what you have already known, what you have already experienced, what you know. With the Tower on the bottom of the deck, your life can change in a moment. You can meet Mr. or Mrs. Right in 1 second and your whole life changes. Everything changes. So, that Tower is really kind of giving me that. It's also giving me this vibe for this Emperor in the headspace, where it's like, there are feelings that can make you feel a bit out of control. And one of them is the feeling of falling in love, right? So that may be why this person is also sort of reticent, or sort of standing back, or being slow, or taking their time. All right, let's clarify. Okay, so the Eight of Cups came out. It didn't come out exactly upright. For some of you, this could be someone who is coming back around. Because if it comes out in reverse, then it is someone coming back around, and this kind of came out spinning. So I don't think it's the case for everyone that it is someone from the past that has walked away that's coming back. But I do feel like with the Eight of Cups, this could be someone who, in order to maintain this sense of control, or this sense of, like, it gives me like the sense of peace that the Emperor in the headspace brings. They are willing to walk away from anything. This isn't someone that feels some sort of sense of obligation or necessity, or like you know, oh, but it's the right thing to do, or it's the good thing to do. This isn't someone, I feel like, that's ever going to put you in a third party situation. You know, this is someone who treasures like having order in their life. And they are more of someone who will walk away from things in order to maintain that sense of peace than someone who really lets a lot of people in. You know, they may have friends or even possibly a lot of friends, but if you ask their friends, like, well, how is this person feeling, which this person has a very deep emotional life, they wouldn't know. Good, I guess, is kind of what I hear. So they keep things a lot to themselves. They don't reveal a lot. They've been really disappointed in life. Have you ever met someone who doesn't celebrate their birthday? And I can talk about this because I didn't celebrate my birthday for many years. When you feel like you're just going to be disappointed and you kind of just want to get through the day in your own way, and you don't want to take the chance of you know, hoping that someone's going to remember, or someone's going to celebrate it, or somebody's going to, you know, make it special for you. So you just sort of act like it doesn't exist, or like it doesn't matter. And that's kind of this with the Four of Water. This is very scorpionic energy. It would not surprise me if this person didn't have a moon in Scorpio or a Venus in Scorpio. Or they are a Scorpio. But there's just this energy of, you know, I've been disappointed. I've been let down so many times. I just don't think I have it in me to go through that again. You know, disappointment can be, you know, devastating, and especially when it comes to matters of the heart. All right. So with the Page of Swords, wow. See, yeah, I get this energy. The Page of Swords and the actions is being clarified by the Four of Wands and the Magician, and then the Three of Swords on the bottom of the deck. And this is someone who, they know themselves. They really understand themselves. That's the Emperor in the headspace. It's like they know like the things that have the potential to really affect them, or really get them off their path, or really kind of, you know, it's just like giving me upset the apple cart kind of energy. And so they don't avoid it or resist it in the sense of like, oh, I'm not brave enough to take a chance. They're brave enough. But they're also wise. They're also measured and controlled. And so they don't just leap at any opportunity. They have, with the Magician here, this person's totally empowered, you know, to do this. They have all the tools, and they know that they are an alchemist, and they can turn this from something into something else. But with the Four of Wands, they really want something serious. They want something reliable. They want something with a strong foundation, because they've been hurt so many times. And so this is why they wait and watch. This is why they let you show them who you really are. This is not, by the way, like, you know, I think part of the problems that we have in relationships today is that there is like a sense of maybe a little bit of like dehumanization, or like people who don't actually really want to get to know deeply other people. They just sort of want to be in love with whatever their imagination or their image of that person is. And with this, it's the opposite. With this, it's like, no, I want to know who you are. I want to know what I'm getting into here. If I'm risking suffering, if I'm risking the type of heartbreak that I go through as a person with a moon in my heart space, I'm going to only take calculated risks, because it's too hard. It's too devastating. Yeah, so Pisces, you know, I think you've had a lot of experiences, wow, where you have maybe thought that this is the real deal, or maybe I have found my person, or, you know, it's not even that you have to have had a lot of experiences like that. One is plenty. But you know, there's a sense here where you deal with people that with the Two of Pentacles, there's kind of this energy as they really aren't able to reciprocate. They aren't able to bring equality into the relationship. They're not able to give you as much as you are giving them. And in the end, it feels like oftentimes they don't end up choosing you, or that's how it feels, is like, you know, with the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Cups, there's a heavy decision-making energy. And with the Two of Pentacles, it's showing, you know, an energy of like they choose out of fear instead of out of love. It takes a lot of bravery to choose out of love. It takes a lot of bravery to take a risk like that. And so you've really had to, you know, find your own sense of self-worth and your own sense of value within yourself. You know, because, you know, when someone doesn't choose you, that's painful. And it does make you question, like, what could I have done? What am I short on? What don't I have enough of? What wasn't I able to bring or do or give or say or whatever to keep this person? And in the end, what you find is that it probably had nothing to do with you, and it had everything to do with this person and their own ability to meet themselves authentically. When you are a very authentic person, with a person with the Page of Cups in their heart space is a very authentic person. And when you're like that, then when people come into contact with you and have relationships with you, they are faced with all the ways that they are not authentic with themselves. And that makes them feel very unbalanced and very out of control. And then they have a tendency to project their insecurities, right? Because those are all the places where they're not being authentic with themselves, where they're not healing, where they're not dealing with things, where they're not looking at things. And so, you know, they project that, and then you have to sort of unravel that. You have to sort of go, oh, okay, you know, that's not me, that's this person. But going through those iterations of kind of like, I just keep feeling it in this way of not being chosen, okay? But the reality is, what it's showing me underneath is that they weren't capable of returning what you were offering. They just were not capable of it because they were avoiding their own authenticity. They were avoiding. If you're showing up authentic, then someone's got to show up authentic to meet you and to be able to reciprocate. And a lot of people are not authentic, you know? And so with the Two of Water here, it's like you have not given up on this idea of a healthy relationship, or on the hope that there will be a healthy relationship. I feel like yesterday you got some kind of card with two birds on it too, and it's giving me the same vibe as it is today. It could have been another day. I don't know what day. But it's just, there's this vibe of like, you're finding your person to make a nest with here. Like someone's coming in. But it's like, I'm not giving up on that. But what I keep experiencing is this journey that leads me back to what I deserve and what I'm worth, and waiting for it and finding it and holding the standard of reciprocity and equality in a relationship. So let's to clarify the Page of Cups. Baba. Nine of Earth. Yeah, see? I mean, Pisces all over the place. Oh my God. Yes, this is your soulmate or your twin flame. The moon in the heart space. Pisces, you are just as emotional as this other person. You feel things every bit as deeply. And that is why you've had to really find your validation within yourself rather than relying on the outside world. Because the outside world is a cruel bed partner. It sure is. It fluctuates all the time. Some days it's up, some days it's down. You know, I was having a conversation with my friend. She has a friend who normally is a pretty good friend, and I've met this person and I really like this person, and I mean, I've thought they were really, fun to hang out with. I've only, lunched with them and stuff like that. I don't know them as well as I know my other friend. And but when this person has things that start to go wrong in their life, it's like they avoid them, but they become super passive aggressive in conversation, where they when my friend is out with them, they make my friend feel bad. Like, they intentionally bring up topics that are sore subjects for my friend. She's like, it's like they really change. And she didn't know how to handle it, because 90% of the time she really loves her friend, but then when her friend goes through something hard and decides that the way she's going to feel better is to make my friend feel worse about herself, she doesn't want to be on the receiving end of that. She thinks too highly of herself, and she knows she deserves more than that in a friendship. But this is one of her closest friends, and this has happened in the past before, and then it's gone away. And this friend has, she has suffered a couple of kind of major blows recently that have really probably been a blow to her ego. And my friend was asking me what I thought, like, does she have a conversation with her friend when she knows her friend is already going through so much? And how do you even go about saying something like that? And like, there was just this whole thing. And I, so many times and so much of the time, how people treat us really is a reflection of the instability they feel in their own lives, and they bring that instability to us. And with this 9 of Pentacles in the heart space and the Moon card, there's sort of this energy of like, I know I'm vulnerable here because I feel things deeply. Because when I tell you I love you, I actually mean that I love you. And it's unconditional. And I will, go to the end of the earth for you. And so, I have to be really okay just with being by myself and with myself. With the 9 of Pentacles, it's a single energy. I've had to kind of be everything to myself. I've had to walk myself through many times in life that were confusing or hard in relationships where, I really cared about someone and they were treating me unfairly or unkindly or whatever. And I've had to, really figure out how to balance this, because none of us are, even if we know what it is, we're not immune to the effect of it. It never feels good to have someone who is a good friend of yours sit across the table from you and bring up things that are going to make you feel like crap about yourself. It's just not cool. This is not, you don't walk away feeling good, that's for sure. You don't walk away going, wow, they feel like crap about themselves. Has nothing to do with me, like blah, blah, blah. No, even if you know that, it has an effect on you. And so with the 9 of Pentacles, there's just this energy of like, I've had to be my own best friend. I've had to kind of like shore myself up. I've had to get myself to a place where I'm sort of unfuckwithable, where it's like my feelings are not rising and falling by everything around me. I have control over that. It's not even control. It's that I have had to get myself to a place where, what you say or do or what you think isn't going to put me into a spiral. Because it can when you have the Moon in your heart space. So you have a different approach. You may actually just be even further down the road than this person here. To where it's like you've been disappointed too, but you figured out how to completely shore your thing up. Yeah, so, wow, you have the Death card being clarified by the Ace of Wands and the Death card. This is something where there is this feeling of, you know what, I am not, like, how do I even want to say this? I want what I want, and I'm not going to kind of, cave on that. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'll accept less. If it means I have to transform, then I will transform. If it means I have to transform everything in my life, then I will transform everything in my life. If it means I have to revamp my subconscious and reprogram myself, well then guess what? I'm gonna do that. It's like I refuse to accept the status quo. I know what I want, and I'm going to do whatever that takes. I'm going to go through whatever transformation I need to go through in order to get my life to this place. And for some of you, this even has to do with your soul purpose. You may even be like shifting career tracks. You may even be like, this could be big changes. But it's all in the name of knowing what you want and insisting on having it. and the wands all represent manifestation. Wow, holy moly. All right, this Queen of Wands energy. I am going to look at this. We have the Fool card. Wow, okay, so we have the Page of Wands. We have the Page of, Pentacles in reverse. We have the Six of Swords upright, Justice upright, and the Three of Air upright. With the Fool card on the bottom of the deck with this Queen of Wands. So it's like, I'm attracted, I'm interested. This person may have recently been hurt. Being hurt is heavily on this person's mind. With the Six of Swords, they are really, with the Page of Swords here and the Six of Swords there, there's just this energy of like, I'm taking my time, I'm watching, I'm waiting until I feel completely at peace and calm about the situation, until I'm not all over the place about it at all. Justice, then I'll make my decision. It's like, never make your decision out of anger or whatever. This person is like, it's kind of like that. I don't make decisions in spaces where I don't feel really level and steady and at peace. I know when I'm ready to make a choice. So with the Page of Earth, this is someone that does want to ask you out or does want to see you in real life or wants to see you in person, but they are holding themselves back. Or they are, they will make a decision. They're moving towards that. They do desire this. And with the Fool card, they're going to take a leap of faith. But it's like, when they take a leap of faith, they're sort of an extremist. It's like, either I'm holding back, or I'm all in. And so in order for them to go all in and feel comfortable going all in and making that choice and that decision, they have to really get to a place of peace about it. But they're definitely focused, they're dialed in, and there's desire there. Wow, okay. You have Justice on the bottom of the deck. We're clarifying Judgment. You have the King of Cups on the bottom of the deck. You have the Eight of Pentacles. You have the Eight of Wands. You have the Empress, the Four of Swords, the Three of Wands, and the Chariot. Wow. On this Judgment. Whoa. So this is someone who moves very slowly. You have the Knight of Pentacles here. And they, with the Eight of Fire, this is someone who is very intentional with everything that they do, with every step they take, with everything that they do. This is someone who has really mastered themselves. And, maybe they were, fool's rushing kind of love in the beginning, and they've gotten hurt so many times that, finally it feels like maybe they've learned that, if I go slowly, I will, I'll get there. And that's what it feels like their intention is to get there. You have the Empress here, and that Empress energy is like a homing beacon. It's like, I am looking for the one. I'm not looking to date and get brokenhearted again. I am looking for someone to settle down with. I'm looking for my co-creator. Remember, this person in their headspace is the Emperor. And so the Empress is their divine partner. And so they're looking for someone that is as measured and as intentional and as thoughtful and as, deeply feeling as they are. With the Four of Air, this is, normally this can be a period of not talking to people. And I would be lying if I didn't say that there were places in this reading where I've definitely gotten the feeling that for a few of you, this could be someone from your past, where you have not spoken to them for a while. But this Four of Air also, and more primarily, is kind of giving me this vibe of someone who doesn't say things without meaning them. They will not say something versus just saying something to fill the space and the time. With the Three of Wands here, this person is very strategic. They're laying things out. They may ask questions, if this is someone who's a secret admirer and who's having conversations with you, they may ask you every weekend, what'd you do this weekend? Because they want to know, because they're interested, they want to know, how do you spend your time? Are you spending your time with someone special? What's going on? This person's very strategic with the things that they say, when they say them, how they say them, everything. With the Chariot, again, that's because this person sees you as a potential life partner, someone that could potentially really balance them out and move toward success and victory with them. With the King of Cups, this is also someone who is deeply emotional but has mastered their emotion. They may have the moon in their heart space, but they know how to have the moon in their heart space and navigate life. They don't need you to process for them. I am going to clarify this tower, you guys, because I have to, because I need to know. Inquiring minds. Life transforms in a moment. You have the Hermit clarifying the tower. So this is the energy of being single, being by yourself. And you have the Seven of Cups on the bottom of the deck, which is, right here, it's giving me your life can go a lot of different ways. It takes me back to standing on the precipice of the unknown and what are you afraid of? And that's what it feels like could even be part of the soul contract of this relationship, is almost like even facing fear. You both, having the moon in your heart space with both of you do things, you have to be a bit more serious. You can't just be lackadaisical and light in your dating life, because you are going to have feelings and they're going to get involved, and it's, you who's going to get hurt if you're dealing with someone who's not like that. And so, standing on the precipice of, a new relationship or a soul connection or a twin flame connection, it sounds like nothing but exciting. But the truth is, it's a scary ass place to be. Oh my gosh, I don't know this person. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know how this is going to end up. I could potentially develop really deep feelings for this person, and this person could hurt me, And so there is this, let me just address that. And it feels like, let me just address that, because if you wait until you're in the relationship and you're trying to navigate having all these feelings and facing your fears, it actually can interfere with your intuition, where you start, you're having feelings and you're like, oh, that's just me being afraid, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Or that's just this, or that's just that. It's just showing me you want to go into it clear, and you want to go into it confidently, knowing that it's impossible to go into a situation with an unknown outcome with no fear. But you can go into it really understanding it, looking at it, and sort of saying, okay, can I handle it? And if the answer is, yeah, I can handle it, then okay. You know what I mean? I don't know how to say this, but it's sort of like, before emotions get involved, before you know, are feeling exposed and vulnerable and the fear is kind of intensified, or it's really giving me like all of your feelings are intensified. Like, get this out in front of you and really look at, you know, what am I afraid of getting into a new relationship? What am I afraid of being rejected? Am I afraid they won't like me? I like me. That's enough for me. You know, that doesn't scare me. You know, am I afraid that they're going to, you know, abandon me? Okay, well, I have the Nine of Pentacles in my heart space. I worked really hard to get that. The Nine of Pentacles is not an energy that comes easy. You know, I'm okay being by myself, and I know that. I have solidified that in my heart space. I really, truly know and understand that. So if someone abandons me, then okay, I'm left with myself. I like me. I've done a lot of work to like me, you know, and I know that it's pure. I know it's true, and I know it's honest because I'm authentic in my heart space. What am I afraid of? Okay. You know, if it's not that, and you're going through it, and it's like you look at all these fears and you realize like, oh wait, hey, these fears, you know, aren't maybe enough to really make me feel like I shouldn't dive into this, you know? So there's something major coming with a soulmate for sure. And I think it comes in very quickly, like your life changes in a moment. And yeah, I feel like Spirit's just sort of calling you to really look at the fear of the unknown, because that's you're stepping into it. And it can't be known until it's known. It's like, it's really giving me that. Hardcore, Pisces. Okay, if you're dealing with a water sign, you're getting anxious, nostalgic. I want your attention, and fantasizing. If you are dealing with a fire sign, you are getting, be patient with me, please. I just need more time. Your words speak to me like no others can. If you are dealing with an earth sign, you are getting, what we have is soul recognition. You are the only one who truly gets me, and we will be together again. And if you are dealing with an air sign, you are getting good intentions. I am working on myself, and I can't stop thinking of you. All right, guys, that's what I have for you. I hope it helps. I hope it brings you some peace and clarity. Until next time, guys, I send you off with all my very best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.